Today's gospel, my friends, is called The Widow's Mite. And I saw this past week an ad that was selling a miter's mite. A mite would have been an old coin, and they replicated what the old coin looked like. It was made out of bronze. Then they coated it with sterling silver, put a chain around it, and are selling it for $39.95. If you would like a gold widow's mite, my friends, for I think it was a couple $100 and 14 karat, they sell those as well. I don't know why you would want to put around a widow's mite around your neck, my friends, but jewelry is something it's a little out of my department. Today's gospel, it's a beautiful gospel though, my friends. It truly is. It shows that Jesus is not interested in what we give. He's not interested in what we give, and it's very clear in this gospel. What's he interested in? What's left over? What's left over, right? It's interesting. We judge people on how much they give, and Jesus says, "What's left over?" That's what I judge. Interesting concept, isn't it? We don't give in proportion to our wealth, my friends, or our income, do we? We give in proportion to our faith. It's so true. We don't give in proportion to what we have. We give in proportion to our faith. It's a truly amazing thing, and I see it all the time, my friends. What happens when we give? What happens in this whole principle of giving and tithing and all this, my friends? Does anything happen other than just writing a check and putting it in a basket or sending it off to some mission? Does anything happen here within us or with this whole principle? Ruth Huel, who is a Christian author, and she wrote a book on this very topic. She said she had an encounter when she was 15 years old that really put in her mind, that really had an impact on her. They lived down in the real rural areas outside a city, and one night the house caught on fire. There was an electrical fire that caught up, and they escaped only with their clothes on their back. And after the fire, everyone left and things settled down. They went into town to get some supplies and came back. And the mom had a little lunch prepared. She took out like a log that was there, and she put like these paper towels to create a tablecloth. Then she put the food out. And then she took a charred can that was left in the remains, and she put some flowers in it. And it was like this symbol of hope in this tragedy. But Ruth Huel said this. She said, these 2 coins that the widow placed in the treasury were her wildflowers. This was her way of saying, I know that God will provide. You see, my friends, and that's true. When we give, it's a statement of faith. It's a statement of faith. And it creates something within us. It truly is. It creates something in us. And like that, Ruth Huel's mom, she was a very, very big giver in all her life. And she knew God would provide when tragedy hit. Interesting, isn't it? Another woman, her name is Bonnie Anderson. She wrote another book, Out of Grief into Faith. Her husband died when she was young. She wrote a book about this and how she dealt with this. She was a nurse anesthetist, raised 2 children. She took 3 weeks out of the year to go to New Guinea. Both her children were very successful. Her son, who was married, and his wife had a nice job too. They didn't like the fact that their mother would spend 3 weeks in New Guinea. It drove them crazy. So one time when he was down there, the son and his wife went actually down to New Guinea with him. And they were talking one night, and he was just talking that they were talking about faith and how he had walked away from the faith and really didn't want anything to do with it. And he was trying to convince his mother that this is really a waste of time going to New Guinea. If you want to help people, you can stay right in America and you don't have to risk anything. He was talking kind of out of concern too. You can imagine his mother, his father died young, didn't want the same thing to happen to his mother. You could understand. He's trying to convince his mother that, she spent an awful lot of money even coming here. The next day, the mom would help in this little clinic, if you can call it a medical clinic. It was a room, a really makeshift shed, and a clean table and things. And they would have a doctor come like a few days out of the month. And he had just left, so no doctor would be there for a couple weeks. This 16-year-old boy came in. He was hit in the head with a cricket ball. A cricket ball is a little smaller than a tennis ball, but it's extremely hard. So it's like getting hit in the head with a rock. And it not only went into the head, but it really split the head, and there was all sorts of damage in his skull. And, of course, there was no one really to take care of him, and they tried to keep him comfortable. He made it through the night, and the next morning there was some visitors. The Archbishop, who had passed away a few months ago, and this young boy who actually this injury he had up into, his name was John, was named after this Archbishop. So there was a relationship there. But in any event, this other couple was there, and they were visiting. They were relatives of the Archbishop, and they were not able to go to his funeral. And so they wanted to come to New Guinea and see where he was and see the different mission sites that he did. And so they were visiting this little area. So they came in and they were talking, and this Archbishop's nephew saw that there was an injury here. Do you know what his job was, my friends? And this is a story that was found in Guidepost. Do you know what his job was? He was a neurosurgeon. He was a neurosurgeon. He performed surgery on this young 16-year-old boy, and he survived. The next day, he and his wife flew back to Germany, where they were from. But Bonnie's son was amazed by this whole process, seeing that out of the blue, this neurosurgeon just happens to show up in New Guinea, and takes care of this boy. The mom was listening to her son, and she simply said to him, John, his name was John as well. John, these things happen to me all the time. These things happen to me all the time. Do you know why? Because when you give, my friends, the skies of the supernatural open up. The skies of the supernatural open up. God always responds, my friends, to a generous heart. Always, always responds to a generous heart. And as Bonnie said, and many of you have experienced, these things happen all the time. All the time. And so today, my friends, especially this time of year, it's a good thing for us to reflect on that. It's good for us to reflect on having a generous heart. God bless you.